So many of you may already know that I used to rebuild turbos. The name Rochester's House of Boost of this channel is actually the name of that business. Founded in 2015. It extends a little bit before then as well, but that's when I started rebuilding turbos. Started out in high school. I had a first car, a Saab 900 Talladega non-turbo, and then I got a turbo, and then I wanted to put a bigger turbo off of a 9000 in it, so I got one off of a scrapped car, and I didn't know if it was good or not. I'm like, oh, should I get it rebuilt? Then I ultimately decided I should get it rebuilt, but I don't want to pay anyone to do it. So basically I ordered a rebuild kit off of Amazon, I believe it was, and then took the thing apart and then just stared at it, figured out what was what, and then put it back together. I don't even think I cleaned anything. Maybe a little bit of brake cleaner or something. But I just basically took it apart, put it back together, put it in that car, ran it for, I think, 2 years plus until I got rid of it. I was always running like high boost in the thing too, like completely knocked the thrust bearing out of it. But anyway, it survived. Nothing crazy happened there. But after I rebuilt that turbo, I told a few people that I did that, and then they started saying, hey, I got a KO3 or whatever on the shelf, or a T3, T4, or something along those lines. Like, hey, I got a blown turbo sitting on the shelf. I don't know, want to rebuild it for me? Like, how much will it be? So I'm like, that won't be much. It'll be a couple $100. I'll order the kit and then I'll do it and whatever. And there was no expectations at the time, because it was just like a friend doing a job for a friend, you know, right? Like, you know, you ask a friend, hey, can you weld this for me? You don't expect the best work ever, because it's like, hey, it's your buddy who's got a welder, whatever, right? So I was doing jobs like that and then having good success with it. Like, I mean, I had one of them like burn oil like crazy, and then we're trying to sort it out, what was wrong with it, and we found it was the engine it was on. And then, so yeah, I was doing a decent job for just kind of work for friends. And then after that period, it was time to go to college, basically. And then I say it that way because, you know, you're kind of just shoved into going to college right after high school. Like, you know, it's the middle of grade 12 and they're like, yo, where are you applying to? Like, where are you going? You have to have a plan, this, that. So anyway, time to go to college. Went to mechanic school because I always wanted to be a mechanic. I thought that was the only way you can get into cars if you really love cars. And then I learned quickly that I cared about cars way too much in a way. Like the engineering and the creative aspect of cars. That's all I thought about since I was maybe 4 years old. So I quickly realized I was just acing classes without even studying or anything, and then just found myself skipping half the time because I'm like, I already know this stuff. And then I was still learning stuff. I'm not saying I knew everything, but basically the path that this course took you down was, you know, you learn about the cars, you learn the theory, and then you go into the shop and then you learn the hands-on aspect, and then you graduate and then you can go be a mechanic. Basically, that's what the course was. So I realized, hey, I don't want to be a mechanic. I'm into far too many aspects of cars, like tuning and everything, to be doing this. So I ended up dropping out of that course. I didn't even formally drop out. I think I just stopped going. So here I am now, dropped out of college. And then at the same time, I also quit my job, which was at a grocery store at the time, just because, again, that wasn't fulfilling me. I was kind of going through a little bit of a crisis of like, wait, I really don't like anything that I'm doing, and is this what my future is going to look like, just working jobs? Like the job I thought I always wanted, which was being a mechanic, I didn't really want, because I was already doing an apprenticeship as well on the side, and I'm like, this is too much work, you know, like not getting my hands dirty basically, but I'm just getting filthy every day, back's hurting. You know what I mean? I'm 18, not even 18 yet when I started doing that. So basically quit everything, was at home, had all the time to just sit around and just vegetate. And then it hit me like, you know what, I gotta do something to make money. So basically the primary decision there was I need money, and then I have a skill set to offer. I can rebuild turbos, I guess, for some money, because not a lot of people offer it. Maybe, I don't know. I always saw myself running a business at some point, but I never really thought I could just do it in my teens. You know what I'm saying? I thought you had to be like a 40, 50-year-old, 30-year-old established person to, you know, go get loans and bank accounts and stuff, because I've seen people run businesses. I've seen my uncle do it, for example, and then I always saw it as, oh, that's later in life, you start a business. It's not now. So anyway, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, I guess, I was just like, you know what, I just gotta do this, like, now. Like, I need to make money now. And then I think, like, today is the first day of the rest of my life, I guess. That's the way I thought about it. So then, to start this business, I straight up put ads up on Kijiji saying turbo rebuilding, affordable pricing. I offered warranty because I really wasn't trying to screw anyone out of money. I just wanted to fix people's stuff, and then just make some cash out of it, right? So I did that. Actually, in the first week, I got like a bunch of calls, which was impressive. And then people came, they brought their turbos, they shook my hand. They're like, hey, you're a pretty young guy to be doing this. I'm like, yeah, I guess, but I'll, you know, warranty, I'll do it. Don't worry about it. And that was the case for probably the first, like, couple dozen customers. They all say the same thing. But I'd do a decent job. If there was a small issue or something, I'd let them come back and I'd fix it. No problem, whatever, right? So, this is out of my parents' house, so it's whatever. For expenses, it's just the only expense was actually buying the parts for the turbos. So this same business format went on from 2015 to 2018. The same format. The only difference was after getting enough work, I actually registered, you know, started paying taxes, and then started a website where I was actually selling rebuild kits on that website. And then I started an Instagram, you know, the typical business stuff. So all that stuff came after I started making money. And then something happened around 20, or something started to happen around 2017, 18, I don't know, into 19, I guess you could say, where I just started thinking, I'm like, wait, like, the thing I was running away from was being a mechanic, and the whole mechanic lifestyle of just, you know, hands soaked in degreaser, brake cleaner all the time, and then, you know, just dealing with dirty parts and just replacing parts kind of thing. So to combat that, I guess, I started doing custom sort of deals where I'd get housings machined out because I had connections with machinists. So I'd put bigger wheels in turbos and then make better upgraded turbos for like bolt-on applications just with those parts and stuff like that, because I now had access to all these manufacturers. So it's like, hey, I can get compressor wheels of any size that fit this turbo, right? So I started doing that more and more and more into 2018, 19, and then it turned into like, oh wait, I have to design like a different shaft collar or a different bearing or something to make this fit with that, or a housing adapter to make this turbo work with that turbo, like center section with compressor housing. So it turned into that, and then I hit a point in 2018 where I'm like, okay, this is still mechanic work. Now I'm just kind of installing, you know, the equivalent of like an intake for a performance part on a car, when it's like, you know, I'm installing a better part into a turbo, right? So I know you're probably thinking, why does this matter? You're making money, right? What's the problem here? There really isn't a problem if you're not me, I guess. But I had a problem with it because it was what I was running away from. And then the whole point of a business, the whole point of having your own business, is doing what you want. If you're not doing what you want, you might as well be doing anything else. You might as well just get a job somewhere and do anything else, because that's not what you want either, right? So with this whole skill set I built up of designing parts, and then the whole turbo thing, and understanding the metallurgies, because quite frankly I rebuilt probably 400 turbos between 2015 and 2018, which is a lot. Like I was working like full shifts in my own garage doing this stuff. So then, you know, I looked at it and I'm like, well, I have all these skills. I'm just gonna try to design something. I want to design a billet center section for a turbo. At the time, I'll get to this in another video, but this is about the Super 6. That's kind of how the Super 6 came to be. But I saw the TD06H as like the perfect architecture for a turbo, except it had thrust bearing issues if you went over a certain amount of boost, even with an upgraded thrust bearing. So I'm like, hey, what if I make a ball bearing billet center section? And then basically I started on that, iterated through the designs, and basically ended up with what I have for sale today after many failures. A lot of them just on my own testing, like just literally throwing my own money, I wouldn't say away, but just spending my own money, designing something, trying it on the race car, or trying it, or giving it to a friend to try, or selling it to someone who can actually give me good feedback, and then taking those failures and then iterating, and then it was a painful process, an expensive process, but what I ended up was a product that I could actually sell, like a full turbo. So pretty much the whole reason why I stopped rebuilding turbos is because I gained a skill set that allowed me to not have to rebuild them anymore, because again, I never wanted to be a mechanic, but then I turned into a turbo mechanic trying to get away from that. And then I built the skills rebuilding turbos to actually design turbos for myself, and then design turbos for other people. So now I just make turbos instead. So rebuilding turbos was never really the end game plan with that business. It was just to start. And sometimes with businesses and ideas and whatever it may be, you just have to start with something, even though it's not the end goal. You can't just go. I couldn't just straight up go from high school to engineering turbos. I had no idea, you know what I'm saying, no idea the actual dimensions of stuff, tolerances and everything, no experience with, you know, hands-on with the stuff. But after years of rebuilding different types of turbos and then understanding things and building connections with people, I was actually able to break out of that and then design my own turbos. And then here I am now. There's obviously a lot more in that time span that went on within the business, but I'll talk about that in a different video. But anyway, that's just something I wanted to explain for a while on the channel. Some people saw it as I only rebuilt turbos to take information to build my own. I guess you could spin it that way, but it's like, come on, any custom engine builder, or even, you know, guys who build custom billet blocks and stuff for racing and stuff like that, they built their knowledge rebuilding engines, like from just 200, 150 horsepower cars, and then you see how it could be better, and then you just iterate and iterate your own stuff until you make it better. So you can't build a turbo until you know what a turbo is.